You're tuned into the VSX Digital Sports Network.
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Session 5 of The Mind Coordinator. I'm your head coach, Dr. David Schoonover. Today, we have an amazing show for you. We are going to embark on a journey through the interconnected realms of sports psychology, therapeutic interventions like the Lighthouse Sessions, and their profound impact on both coaches and players in the dynamic world of sports. Today, we're delving into the fascinating world of sports psychology and its profound effects on the modern football player. As we explore this topic, we'll uncover how mental factors play a pivotal role in shaping an athlete's performance, how they develop resilience, and overall well-being on and off the field. Now, the mental aspects of football have become increasingly critical due to several factors that help shape the game, right? The modern game today is a high-stakes competition. In today's football landscape, the level of competition, it's intense at all levels, from grassroots to professional leagues. The margin between victory and defeat can be slim, emphasizing the need for mental resilience and focus under pressure. There's a lot of performance expectations today. Players are under constant scrutiny from fans, media, and clubs with high expectations for consistent peak performance. Managing performance anxiety and maintaining confidence is crucial for sustained success. So managing performance anxiety and maintaining confidence are just aspects of a coach's role, right? As they directly impact the team's overall performance and well-being. There are some strategies, and we'll explore those today. You've got to have things like open communication, right? The coach has to create a supportive environment where athletes feel comfortable discussing their anxieties and concerns. Encouraging open dialogue during team meetings, one-on-one sessions, or through anonymous feedback channels, right? Coaches and players need to be educated about this type of anxiety. It helps athletes understand that anxiety is just a natural response to high-pressure situations. Coaches can teach them coping strategies such as deep breathing, visualization, positive self-talk, and mindfulness to manage that type of anxiety. Also, coaches set realistic goals. We break down performance goals into manageable steps and timelines. We focus on process-oriented goals such as improving specific skills, executing game strategies rather than solely outcome-based goals. That is, winning every game. Coaches build confidence. Coaches create a positive team culture. That, for instance, fostering camaraderie, mutual respect, and support among team members. Encouraging teamwork and communication and collaboration both on and off the field, especially off the field. All right, so we have a great show for you today. We are going to get started here in just a minute, but I want to just encourage everybody to hang tight, tune in, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network. Uncanny, unscathed, unstoppable under pressure. Nobody get it done better. You can spot.
Embark on this thrilling journey into sports leadership with me, Dr. David Schoonover, every Sunday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on KSHP, exclusively on the VSX Digital Sports Network. Gain valuable insight into the minds of coaches, executives, and administrators as we uncover the secrets of coaching brilliance. Tune in for exclusive revelations and endless inspiration. Be sure to catch every moment each Sunday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., right here live on KSHP 107.1 FM, 1400 AM.
Clear Sky Resorts invites you to experience the future of luxury glamping at their newest resort, opening August 1st, 2024 near Bryce Canyon. Guests at the first and only glass-domed stargazing resort in the U.S. will be immersed in the stunning scenery of the resort's private 80-acre canyon, both indoors and out, and nights in your sky dome will be like sleeping in an aquarium of stars. Located in Cannonville, Utah, on scenic Byway 12, voted one of the most scenic roads in America, the resort will feature lots of fun on-resort activities, as well as one of the world's largest glass-domed restaurants. To book your reservation, please call 1-888-704-4445 or visit clearskyresorts.com.
You're tuned into the VSX Digital Sports Network.
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
All right, we are back, and today we have the distinct honor of welcoming Coach Callahan, a true legend in the world of coaching. An incredible 50 years of coaching experience under his belt. Coach Callahan brings a wealth of knowledge, wisdom, and insights that few others can match. Today's discussion will delve into the coach's remarkable journey and explore the critical role mental health plays in the lives of today's athletes. Coach has just done so much. He has been defensive coordinator. He has been involved in either running or defending virtually every offense and defensive scheme in football, power, option, spread, zone, man, odd, even fronts, their deaths, rebirths, and evolutions. He has spoken at clinics nationwide, including the AFCA National Convention, and published several articles, some of which can be found on the X&O Lab Studios. Coach Callahan has worked with, and it's just amazing, many outstanding coaches and mentors. He has countless relationships with his peers at all levels of the profession. And we are so happy to have him here. So let's give him a great round of applause and welcome Coach Callahan.
Thank you.
Good morning, Coach. How are we doing this morning?
I am good. Thank you. How are you?
Well, things are going along very smooth this morning. We are so excited to have you here today. There's just so much I want to ask you about your coaching career, things you've run into, those kind of things. But let's just start kind of at the beginning, Coach. What initially inspired you to pursue a coaching career, and what keeps you motivated after all these years?
Well, I didn't. In today's world and during my coaching career, there in the recruiting process and with young men in general, but their families, there's a huge emphasis on, they're going to college and what are they going to major in and what are they going to be when they, get out of college and grow up, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I have to say that I thought very little about that. I was kind of a in the moment kind of guy. I loved playing college football. If they were still paying me today, just a scholarship, I would be happy to still be playing. And so I never, my parents were Depression folks. And my dad said, well, you should be a dentist, not a doctor, because, they have better hours. My mom thought I should go work for the phone company because during the Depression, they didn't get laid off.
Ah.
And I was not my SAT scores described me perfectly. Not real good in the math sciences, very, very good in the English. And so I decided to become a history major. And I enjoyed history, and I had thoughts of going to law school, and or perhaps getting into the teaching profession, but I didn't think about it much, really. It just seemed like a good way to go. It was a subject I was interested in, and just enjoying the moment and, let the chips fall where they may. When I was a senior in college, I played at Fresno State University, And in those days, Fresno, none of the college staffs and programs were of the size they are today. So it was a smaller coaching staff, and there was the GA, was all we had. I played linebacker, and he lost interest in that in probably about a month or two. And so the coaches kind of would send me over with the linebackers in my second year there as a senior, and would say, Callahan, go work with a linebacker or something, because there was a secondary coach and a D-line coach, and they really didn't know and didn't have time to deal with this. So when I finished my senior season, the head coach asked me if I'd like to come to spring ball and coach. Well, I was still on scholarship. I was living with some guys that were still playing, and I was used to going, packing up my stuff and going to practice every afternoon for about 8 years. So I said, well, why not? And literally it was just a perfect fit. Loved everything about it. It was like staying in football as much as I could be without playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really put a lot of thought in it. I really didn't have a lot of plans, and it just sort of fell in my lap. But it was, something right next to playing, and I loved playing and loved all the aspects of the sport and teams. And here I was, in the only long-term way you can stay associated with it.
Well, Coach, I got to think that there are probably just an unimaginable amount of people that you have touched in your career. 50 years of the coaching. It's just, and you've seen so much evolve. What have you noticed, Coach, over the years, how it's evolved? What are some of the significant changes you've seen in the game?
Well, of course, the game itself and its, the rules, the speed, the size, the physicality, the complication and of X's and O's and technology and all of that has completely, it wasn't even the same. I tell people when I started, we were watching 16 millimeter film, and very few people even know what that is. And
sure,
just the technology itself. We had what we used to call I think of the name. It had a name, a machine that we cranked by hand to make copies. I think it was called a mimeograph machine or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it had fluid in it that always spilled and stunk. And, so that part but that part has, coincided with society itself. I tell people all the time, and it's good and bad when you're working with administrators and higher ups, et cetera. And in athletics, we get special attention. And now with social media, something that was a hijinks on a college campus is now national news. There used to be an old expression, sort of a joke about if you were sort of a bad boy, you stole hubcaps. Well, that was not a big deal, but then, hubcaps turned out to be $100 and $150 items. It was grand theft. And so that everything has just moved to such a higher level of scrutiny, higher level of expectation, higher level of pressure in regard to people wanting you, but almost pressuring you to perform at a certain level. Not to mention the rest of, all the things that we have in society that, there's to listen to the news, and I've been in education, so I'm sure it's true, but, the pressure that students feel just in going to college and achieving and that whole thing about what are you going to be? I told more than one parent and more than one student the same story I just told the audience. I didn't know. I think I turned out okay. I didn't even know what I was going to be. I was a history major. I switched to PE my senior year, and found something that I wasn't on the testing of your. Maybe it would have been. We didn't have tests, or I didn't take any. It's just so much more complicated, and there's so much more to the athlete that she needs that involves you pretty much 24/7 if you're going to have it's a more complicated world in every aspect for everybody, but the athlete is just and I started to say, like, administrators will come in and go, why are they doing this and that? And they go, well, read the newspaper. They're part of society doing the same thing that other students are doing. But granted, they have the privilege of being an athlete and being treated in some way special, and they have the burden of the scrutiny that goes with it.
Sure. Yeah, I can imagine seeing the changes over the decades, and you're exactly right, Coach. Now they have all the information in their back pocket in the cell phone, and you've got social media, and you don't know if it's true, if it's good, if it's bad, but it's there, and it's there instantly. So if let's say a kid goes out for a pass and he drops a pass, well, the whole world knows that he dropped a pass, right? And that's got to just create tremendous amounts of anxiety for these guys. The anxiety to perform, the anxiety to live up to certain expectations that the school or the coach, sets for the team, right?
Absolutely. The expectations of of family sometimes. Everybody knows a lot more about the game than they used to. The old expressions, a little bit of knowledge can be dangerous.
That's so true. Yeah. That is.
And I'm sure, like in your profession, there's a lot of amateur psychiatrists, psychologists out there, and and they may know a little something, but applied incorrectly, you could do more damage than good.
Coach, you don't know what I'm telling you. What you just said is so profound. I have been a therapist for about 20 years, I suppose. I've been doing the work most of my life, but a licensed therapist for about 20 years. And I can tell you honestly that I don't really care for therapists. The two pet peeves that I have about therapists are they charge too much money, and they have you come back week after week after week with no measurable improvement. And in my business, my business is called the Lighthouse Sessions. And on day one, we have measurable improvement. I do some testing and some questioning of whether it's a professional athlete or just the mom and pop that are trying to have a better life. On day one, we have measurable improvement. I tell people with somewhere between 90 and 95% accuracy why they do what they do, how they act and react, why they think, how that process goes. And I think that there are good therapists out there, don't get me wrong, but there's so much out there. You're right. A little bit of knowledge can go a long way, and therapists can do a lot of damage to these guys. You got to understand that a lot of these, and you've seen this, Coach, I'm sure, they're coming out of high school. They've been told how wonderful. They've been coddled forever. And then they get into the college realm, and the competition level is just way different, right?
Yeah, and expectations are, unrealistic a lot of times for the parents. And it's amazing how many times the children are really more realistic about, they look to the left of them and they look to the right of them and they go, well, this guy's better than me or this girl's faster than me. And, it's a fact that you can't really deny. There's watches and scoreboards and measurements, and you got the parent. I have the recruiting process, again, whether you're I coach community college for a number of years, so the high school student is going on to a college level, whether it be community college or a four-year college. And the community college student athlete's goal is to get to the four-year college, and then, of course, everybody's goal is to go to the NFL. But particularly in those first two, I've had so many conversations. If you really love football, first off, you don't love it, you shouldn't be playing it. You should be playing it for yourself because you love to play it, not because somebody else thinks you should. Right. Number two, if you love football, we at several colleges, but at one in particular that I was out for quite a while worked at, Thanksgiving morning is a big day in football to be practicing. If you're practicing Thanksgiving morning, that means you're in the playoffs in high school. That means you're going to a bowl game in the, college level. Now the seasons have moved back, so the bowl games are a little further out, and so it's a big deal and a privilege and fun to be about. And we would practice in the stadium, big 12,000 seat stadium, and sometimes the players would be grumpy and they'll come in. Sometimes coaches didn't want to. Well, it's Thanksgiving, can't we have it off? And to those of us, at least in those days of coaching, even today for me, God, it's the greatest thing in the world. You get up Thanksgiving morning, you go get a practice in with a group that you're now culminating that journey with, and in a successful and fun situation, and then you head home and you have it's just the greatest to me. Across the street from us, at the college, were these big fields, and there would be a turkey bowl, and there might be players, 100 players, and there would be a couple hundred family, friends, whatever. And I used to look at the players and I go, look at that. I go, they are just out there because they just love to play.
Yes.
Nobody watching them, nobody cares, no scoreboard, no press. And some of you are grumpy over here because you had to get up on Thanksgiving morning, come to practice. I go, my point being, when I would talk to people transferring, I go, if you really love the game, it doesn't make what college. It's nice if there's 80,000 people in the stands and a giant jumbotron, but it's the same game at I'm a West Coast guy. I've spent most of my life out there. One thing I've learned in the Midwest, there are so many small colleges, NAIA, Division III, where the game is just, and we've competed against them in the community college level. A lot of times you play their JV teams in the Midwest. So you've been on their campuses and you played against their players. And it's the purest, greatest game, and players, 99% of which aren't ever going to go past that. So again, I'm going to get on my soapbox here, but that's what the game's about. That part hasn't changed, and that part is so, I don't know. Sometimes it's just great to be in a stadium with 3,000 people, 2,500, and a bunch of kids who love to play the game, and coaches that are all working as hard as, Nick Saban and whatever, but,
sure,
but without all the fanfare. And that's the reason to be involved in it, not because you're going to go to the NFL, but that gets lost so much.
I totally agree, Coach. Those are just, it's as an adult versus, a high school player, college player. You can call them adults if you want to in college, but we understand the reality of what it takes to be a pro player. And just like you said, there's going to be just thousands and thousands and thousands of gifted athletes that will not make it. And so it's incumbent on the school, it's incumbent on the coaching staff to help prepare these young men and women for the real world. And it's a tough thing when that bubble bursts for them, right? And like you said, Coach, I got to tell you, I have gone. My son played high school football, and I don't know how many people were in the stands. Like you said, maybe 2,000 or 3,000, and so exciting. Just it's the level of competition is equal, just on that level. Coach, hang tight. We got to run and do a couple commercials here. Everybody that's listening, hang tight. We will be right back.
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel David Flippo, and I approve this message.
Open borders, crime, inflation, failing schools. Is this the nation Democrats think we truly deserve? Republican Colonel David Flippo stands ready to represent District 4 and all Nevadans with unwavering commitment and strength. He's not just promising change, he's ready to deliver it. With a focus on economic freedom, Colonel Flippo pledges to cut bureaucratic red tape and create an environment where Nevada small business can survive and thrive, giving power to entrepreneurs and employees like you to drive our economy forward. As a combat veteran, Colonel Flippo knows the importance of national security. He's seen the border crisis firsthand and is dedicated to securing our nation and communities. On education, Colonel Flippo is committed to ensuring that parents have the right to raise their children with integrity and without interference. With Colonel Flippo, it's about taking real action that will shape a brighter Nevada future for us all. Early voting starts soon, and the primary is June 11, 2024. Blue no more to get ahead. In District 4, let's flip it red with Colonel Flippo.
Paid for by the committee to elect Lieutenant Colonel David Flippo.
I'm Dr. David Schoonover, your dedicated formation therapist. Feeling weighed down by life's challenges? Let's navigate them together. Whether it's sports psychology, relationships, or career struggles, I'm here to guide you towards clarity and healing. Take the first step towards a brighter tomorrow. Visit thelighthouseSessions.com or call 702-518-4393. Schedule your consultation. I'm Dr. Schoonover. Together, let's illuminate your path to your inner light.
You're tuned into the VSX Digital Sports Network.
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
All right, guys, we are back. For all of you listening locally and around the world, we are talking with a true veteran, coaching veteran of the sport of 50 years, Coach Callahan. Coach, I got to tell you again, it's just wonderful to have you on the show here today. The insight that you can talk to us about from the way it used to be, the way it is now, things you see changes. It's really valuable. So thank you so much. Coach, I wanted to ask you, what coaching principles or philosophies have been a constant for you throughout your career?
Well, honesty, to be honest with you, sometimes some people say brutally honest. I have to base it. I just try to be me, and I think I'm, as much as anybody is capable of, fairly realistic about who I am, and where my shortcomings are, and where I would like to think that I'm somewhat self-aware and know my strengths and my weaknesses, and I'm comfortable living in my own skin. Mm-hmm. And that being said, I really have always just been me, and there's so many various personalities and cultures, and you go from the president of the college to the water boy and everywhere in between. That I think I think I'm genuine and I'm me, and I've been fortunate enough to do it long enough to have young men that are growing now and have children that are growing now, and they've been honest enough to tell me things that they I don't want to say didn't like, but were weren't their favorite, at least. And yet that I was consistent, that I was fair. And then all of that, I'm, I don't even know what old school means anymore. It's a good term, a bad term, a term way overused. And, people who are, who knows what it really means at this point. I'm a product of my upbringing would probably be better of whatever was going on in those days and times. Like I said, my folks were Depression people, hard work, responsibility, disappointing people, more of a point where you weren't doing things because of the imminent trouble you might get into or punishment, but doing it because it was the right thing to do. And it was also, it just was how things would be successful. It was honest and upfront. And so those things I really have been me. I've not tried to. I've been through a number of. I started out in college in the '60s with Berkeley and the hippies, and I was fine with them. I had long hair and a beard. At the end of football season, I went to Catholic school, and football in those days, Catholic school or not, you shaved your head. And I shaved my head every year I played football. In high school, of course, you couldn't, do any of that if you could even grow a beard. But when I got into college, I shaved my head every year to play the game, and I never cut it again until the next season. And I wasn't a rebel, and I just liked it that way.
Sure.
I had when I was in junior college, I played in an undefeated national championship team, Fullerton College, California, and with some great players and a renowned college, even today, a community college, for the players that have turned out. And I was a starter and big contributor, but I wasn't the top player on the team. Guys went to Alabama, guys went to FC, tough competition and I went to Fresno State. But in the recruiting process, I had to stay in the spring. So I was in my hair growing period. And in those days, the wardrobe of the day was some 501 jeans, sandals, or we used to call them deck shoes, which was a type of tennis shoe, and a mostly a blue, but they could be other colors. Blue was the t-shirt with a pocket in it. That was just what everybody wore. And I had a motorcycle, and I rode every day and dressed that way. And one of the coaches told me when they said, we know that you are a good player, and we know that you are a solid, person. But when the recruiters come in and they see you in your, in your sandals and your blue T-shirt and your beard and your long hair, that's not. We're talking 1968, 69.
Sure.
It wasn't a real liberal time to that. You were basically a hippie or you weren't.
Right.
And that's gonna, it's gonna hurt your recruiting. And I appreciated them being honest with me up front. And again, I consider myself kind of a law and order, follow the rules kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a part of me, and that's probably part of my personality, that's allowed me to maybe cross some barriers that with players that they see somehow. I don't put my biography out there about, in fact, the opposite. I like to keep my private life private, but
sure.
But somehow I think it comes through that. And I just told the coach, I said, well, it doesn't make me any less of a player or a person, and I appreciate the input, but I'm not changing. If they don't want me the way they are, then that's it.
Yeah.
And the head coach at Fresno State, the one who got me into coaching, was a younger guy, which was probably a good thing. And he came into the office, or I came into the office. He was already in there with the head coach to meet me. And the first thing he said, he goes, well, you don't look as bad as they said you did. And I go, wow, thank you.
Well, thanks. Yeah.
And then, so there's been a part of me that I don't know. I mean, I don't know where that came from. And when I think back on it, it was kind of brazen for a kid who needed and wanted a scholarship to play football. Got to run down the hall and shave his head, but it just seemed like a principle to me that was kind of silly. So I think I've been genuine, and I've been me. Not that it's any better or any worse than anybody else, maybe worse than some people, but they don't. I think players, and I'm consistent, to the point where I'm boring and drive them crazy. They will say things, about, oh, yeah, we did that every day. But at the same point, I think people, I had on that same football coaching staff, there was an O-line coach who was really the old guy. He was an ex-Marine. He owned a ranch. He coached football there for 100. He coached the head coach when he played, and he was a great mentor to me. And he reminds you of the character, can't remember his name right now, Rocky's coach, the old original.
Burgess Meredith.
Yes, he was that guy. And he used to say all the time, I'm telling you, kids love discipline. And, some of the stuff seemed outdated even then and whatever, and we'd laugh. But I believe that's the same today. I just completed my first game in the AFL Arena Professional Football League with, this is how good these guys are. 2 hours before the game, Sunday night, our center got signed by the New Orleans Saints.
Wow.
And couldn't play in the game.
Wow.
We lost him 2 hours before kickoff.
Oh, my gosh.
So we're talking men who have, now gone through college and have been out of college and are somehow families, et cetera, at this level. And it's still the same. They want order. They want discipline. They want organization. They want to be taught. They don't want you to just, okay, guys, everybody do it. We're all men here. Well, there's somebody. I've never been in the military, and I'm a admirer of the military, of how they are able to, I think, mold men. I've talked to very few people that have come out of the military that haven't said best thing ever happened to them. And I think there's part of all of us that when I was in high school, I say this all the time, it was like going to boot camp because football wasn't that sophisticated. And I'm telling you, we were up at 5 a.m. out running sprints, and who was the title? It was boot camp. And it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And I think there's an element of that runs through. And sometimes I think I'll get into my minor league psychiatric mode that I'm almost schizophrenic. I'm the guy who didn't cut his hair and had a beard. I'm also the guy that goes, no, this is the way we do it. And, there's certain things but I think I'm always honest about it. And I always just try to be me. And I think players appreciate that, even if they disagree, at least. Because I'm a guy that will disagree with you, but go, well, I see your point. That's not what I do. And mean it. So you have a right to jump off the cliff if you want to. I don't know if I'm the best guy to talk you out of it. I'm going, well, I know how I am when I wanted to have my long hair and beard, even though people were telling me that, in my best interest. But thanks for the advice. I've taken it. I've really, factored it in, but I'm not doing that.
Right.
I think that's, and more in today's world, I think people are like that. We just don't do things as I said so.
That's right. Coach, one of the things that you touched on, and I see this in my practice just way too much. The thing that I have found that people, whether they're athletes or not, they're just a husband and wife, they're having some troubles, or just an individual. The biggest problem I found is truth. People have a hard time with the truth. Now, in an athletic setting, I can see where, they've been told, their whole life, that they're great and they're really not. I get that. They have a problem with that. With individuals, they've deceived themselves. But I love what you said, Coach, because like it or not, you're being truthful. You're being upfront. You're being honest with these guys. And I'll tell you, Coach, I think that has such a long-lasting effect, because I bet that you've probably had players that you've coached in the past, reach out to you later in life for advice because they know you're not going to BS them, right?
Absolutely. And I just think I always try to look at it from their point of view, but through my eyes. I would have, and I've fortunately been pretty true to myself, and would be mad at myself if I wasn't, for my good, not being
right.
the smartest person in the world, but I have a hard time sitting across from a desk from anybody, but particularly a young athlete, or and I think I told you I had a little bit of a 19-year background of handling student problems at a 20,000+ student campus, which were the same things. But of sitting there, and if you could tell me that I lied to you, that sort of crushed me. I just didn't want to be that guy ever.
Right.
I just go, I know you don't like this, but I can't lie to you. I would rather you just be mad at me, transfer school, and there have been. You're the worst coach in the world. I sent a guy home recently when we were in Chicago about 10 years ago, 12, 15, who we had like 180 guys come out for football. And we only had 100 uniforms. And so, the practice field was in such where there was like a hill. So all the guys that just kind of showed up, it's the weirdest thing in some places, but this place, people would just show up. It was a suburb of Chicago, so we're talking about a big pop. I don't know where word got out, but so we just go, well, you got to go sit on the hill. We don't even know who you are. We don't have paperwork on where you came. Don't even know how you heard of us the first day of football. And you just kind of pay attention, stay tuned, and, as guys quit and leave, which they will, when the uniform comes, we had guys sit up there for a month. But eventually, most of them, if they were patient, would get a uniform. We wouldn't, tell them to go away.
Sure.
We admired that they took the initiative. Well, one of these young men was, and another young man, there was two of them, were supposed to be paying attention. So I said, when you do get your chance, don't come in here and go, oh, I didn't know what to do. Well, that's why you're on that hill. So they were down there doing their own drills. Everybody now watches YouTube, and they got drills, and everybody has a trainer and a mentor. So they were down there doing their thing. So after practice, I got both of them together, and I said, look, you guys aren't helping yourself. And they were, at that time, I was a defense coordinator, going to play defense. I said, you guys aren't helping yourself. First of all, you didn't follow the rules of what you were told. You're supposed to do. They're paying attention. You're down there doing your YouTube drill, but nobody's impressed by that. Here, we do things a certain way, and we follow directions.
Yeah, Coach,
one of them.
Coach, I want you to hold on to that thought. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry. We got to run to a quick commercial break here. Hang tight, everybody.
No problem.
When we get back, Coach Callahan.
You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
According to a VA study, each day 22 veterans take their own lives. Together we can win the war against veteran suicide. Join Mission 22 to let our veterans know that they have an army behind them that cares. This salute is courtesy of Pops Automotive,
where they're serving our area with integrity and excellence. For all of your automotive needs, stop by 1433 South Main Street in Las Vegas or call them at 702-676-1002. That's 702-676-1002. That's Pops Automotives on the air saluting our troops and veterans.
I'm Dr. David Schoonover, your dedicated formation therapist. Feeling weighed down by life's challenges? Let's navigate them together. Whether it's sports psychology, relationships, or career struggles, I'm here to guide you towards clarity and healing. Take the first step towards a brighter tomorrow. Visit thelighthouseSessions.com or call 702-518-4393. Schedule your consultation. I'm Dr. Schoonover. Together, let's illuminate your path to your inner light.
You're tuned into the VSX Digital Sports Network. You're listening to The Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400, 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports Network.
All right. We are back, Coach Callahan. Pardon me, Coach. I got to tell you, I would love to have a conversation with you for about, 8 hours a day for the rest of my life. The insight that you have and all the things you've gone through and talking about these players and sending guys home and all that. But Coach, I got to ask you, how do you maintain a healthy, work-life balance? You've been coaching for such a long period of time. How do you do that?
Well, I'm not sure I have. I mean, I don't want to blame it on football because I don't think it is football. There certainly were other circumstances, but I've been married and divorced twice, so I didn't. But one of my ex-wives, second one, said, "Well, you, those kids are more important to you than we are." And I was defending myself because it is very difficult to, coaching is not a 9-to-5 job.
Right.
You're going, okay, 7:00, we got this going. Could you please be home? I got good intentions, but when you're walking out the door and there's a kid still in the weight room and you got to kick him out, and he's going, Coach, can I get another set? Or I was that guy. Every coach that I would run into in my career that had coached me in high school, and then I'd be with somebody else, and I'd be a younger guy in the profession. We'd go. There was one coach who was from the South and had the classic drawl for Southern California, which was unusual, but he came right from Georgia, and he would see me at any clinic. He would tell everybody that was there with me. He used to call me Callahan. He used to be, would get ready to leave, and there was clanking in the weight room, and go down there, and there he is. We're going, you gotta go home. We're trying to leave. Probably a soft spot for that guy. And, you're walking in your car, and the kid needs to ride home. And I don't know. I just couldn't drive out the parking lot and say, hey, I gotta be home. My wife's going to really be mad. And besides, it's not fair to her. And I had stepkids. I didn't have children while I was married, or I'd probably be married still to the first one. But anyway, I just couldn't. But I was the same at home. I didn't go. I wouldn't leave the house when there was, the water was running down the hallway because the pipe broke, and go, I got to go to practice. But
sure,
it just, I did the best thing that I've ever done. And like I said, a lot of ways I should still be married to my first wife, great lady. I wasn't a great husband, unfortunately, but I just told her, I said, look, I didn't get married till I was 26, and I'd already been coaching full time by that time for 5 years. Mm-hmm. And I said, and I was on my second job, I said, this is not a fair profession to a wife or a mother. I said, if we're going to split child rearing duties 50-50, I'm going to be fired in coaching for the most part. There's some jobs you can do it that way, but I couldn't do it that way. I wouldn't want to do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be ready to move, because my job is a very, very, I think of a fluid type of profession.
You're not taking out any long-term loans.
Yeah, and I really, even in my own professional life, I tell people my all-time perfect job was coach for the San Diego Chargers and live on the cliffs in Del Mar overlooking the ocean. And somebody told me one time, somebody's already got that job. I said, I know, but that would be my dream job. I want to win a college national championship and win the Super Bowl and live in Del Mar.
Absolutely.
And and she was okay with that. And I don't know how the children thing would have worked out. But yeah, I don't know. I'd be the wrong guy to ask for that successful. I have many colleagues that have, and I think it takes a special woman, really. It's the key to it, who is can put up with that. And us, I don't think we're the perfect selections. We wouldn't be rated high in the testing and whatever for the perfect mate. But I mean, there's some.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Coach.
Go ahead. No, I just say there's some awesome women out there that just take to that role, but I think they deserve first of all, they deserve a medal, but before that, they definitely need a honest and realistic presentation of what life is going to be like.
Absolutely. You talk about, there's that word keeps popping up here, honesty, right? And I totally understand what we're saying about that. Yeah. Are there mates out there? Is there a woman out there that would go along with that? Absolutely. Right. But you're right, Coach. You got to tell them up front. You have to be honest. Listen, my livelihood depends on a bunch of teenagers scoring touchdowns. And if they don't, we're moving. Right. So like I said, we're not taking out any long-term loans. So it's the same way with relationships. I'm telling you, Coach, I see this every day in my practice where, and the analogy I like to use is if you're building a 100-yard fence and you're off a quarter inch at the beginning, by the time you get to the end, you're way off. And that's what happens a lot of times in relationships, right? People are telling you what they want you to hear. They want you to know about them, and it's not necessarily true. Again, we find honesty coming back into this, and there's deception in there, or not deception on purpose, but maybe just leaving out a few facts, right? So in your case, I totally understand that. I find that when I counsel with professional athletes, football players, basketball players, soccer players, the theme is very simple. It used to be where you've heard this expression, Coach, don't bring your work home with you, right? What I found with a lot of these professional athletes is they bring their home to work. And it's an area where sports psychology comes into play. The coaches have to understand, the assistant coaches have to understand. They're studying these guys. They know if there's something going on. And I think that happens quite often.
On a very much more minor level, where you can see that most clearly in the non-professional athletes, the high school level, with the player's first girlfriend, and things don't go bad or don't go well. Again, for the Rocky movie, Women, Weak and Ladies, they just are can be at that age, and now I don't know if it's that way so much anymore. Been a while in high school, but the old term, I don't know how scientific it is, puppy love or whatever.
Sure. They
just can be so distracted and, consumed by that in an innocent way that's the most obvious you can see. You say, well, what happened? You get in a fight with your girlfriend? Well, it's a very simplistic. It's not as complicated as being married and having a family and being a professional athlete, but it definitely, and with a college athlete, you see that when a lot of times the family is, particularly if it's a dysfunctional family, they lay their problems on the athletes who they feel like. I've been shocked that athletes have, not that they're helping out at home, but, like they'll say, well, go get, take out a loan, financial aid. And then you go, well, you took out the loan. Why are you, not able to, feed yourself and scrape the by? Well, I had to give it to my parents,
Yep. I totally get it, Coach.
I get that, but
Coach.
Anyway, yeah, those.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I just say those are complicated things, and you always run the risk. You certainly, if you're the bull in the china shop, which I can be at times, but I really try to look at that. The first thing that will alienate him is going, well, that's dumb. What are you doing that for? It's like,
yep.
Hey, I understand that's your mom. Okay? When it comes to mom, well, I get it. And you're a good son, and bless you, but let's take a look at what if right now you all scrape by a little bit, you use that student loan to get your education and you got a degree, and wow, could you help your mom then?
Certainly.
Type of thing,
It's most of the young players and young people can't see past next week. That's just it. Coach, listen, we got to wrap up our session today. Again, I would love to talk to you forever. So, ladies and gentlemen, listening to the amazing Coach Callahan, for those locally and around the world, I want to thank you so much, Coach. You just in this short time that we've spent together, I am sure you're able to influence and talk to the hearts of many listeners. I just want to say that today we've delved into a little bit of everything. We've got a wealth of experience from Coach, something he's gained from a remarkable 50-year coaching journey. We try to explore the critical role that mental health plays into it. We didn't get into it as deep as I wanted today, but we know exactly what's going on. We highlight the importance of addressing this mental health and well-being alongside physical training, as most coaches do. We touch a little bit on the stigma, right? It's okay to get help. If there's something wrong, go get it. And one of the things I say all the time is, Coach, if you got a broken arm, you're not going to wait a week to go get it fixed. If you got a broken leg, you're not going to ignore it. And if there's something wrong that you are not able to understand or things aren't going right, reach out for help. I am available at the Lighthouse Sessions. You can reach out there. You can reach me on Instagram at the Mind Coordinator. Please reach out. If you've got an issue, there is help out there. And let me tell you, for everybody who's listening, everybody here can use some help. There is nobody that is not without that need. Whether it's individual, whether it's with a spouse, couples, or sports, right? There's so much pressure today to perform. There's so much pressure to act a certain way. And just like Coach said, the best thing you can do is to be true to yourself. But do you know who you are? Once again, Coach, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the show today. It has been my privilege, and we hope to have you back again.
I'd love to be, and I enjoyed it. I enjoy talking about the profession that I love, and it's been great to me.
Wonderful. Thanks again, Coach. Okay.
You're listening to the Mind Coordinator with Dr. David Schoonover on KSHP, AM 1400. 107.1 FM, and VSX Digital Sports